All right, guys. So yes, I know this is like my fifth video about this Netflix Dave Chappelle drama. However, it just keeps evolving and evolving and evolving and getting crazier and crazier and crazier. And I am truly fascinated by this situation because, like I've said in my last video on this, to me, this demonstrates how both sides actually really feel. Okay, Netflix ain't as woke as they claim they are. Okay, and the other side, I guess the pro-trans, LGBTQ side, they have revealed themselves to be people that, they want to run these companies, right? They believe that these companies have to cater to them no matter what, regardless of what it does for the bottom line. Now, one point that I made in the video I did about John Gruden, so some of you guys may not have heard it, but I want to talk about it because I think this is important, okay? Because a lot of the conversation from so-called minorities and these people that claim to be so victimized is about power, right? And power dynamics. How does power dynamics work? Now, in that John Gruden video, I made the argument that essentially the reason why certain people in this society have power and they are successful is because they have a ruling class mentality. And the example that I used to demonstrate my point was Antonio Brown, Bill Belichick, and Tom Brady, right? Antonio Brown, when he was on the Raiders, called Mike Mayock a racial slur, right? For a white person, right? The C word. He called him a saltine, okay? That's what he said. Now, the Raiders, I believe, cut him. I don't even think they cut him for that specific reason, but they cut him. And then Bill Belichick, somebody who's won, 5-6 Super Bowls now? Tom Brady, 5-6 Super Bowls. They wanted Antonio Brown on the team, right? Despite the fact that Antonio Brown used a slur, right, in a derogatory way that can be offensive to white people. But these people, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, because they have ruling class mentalities, because they understand what actually really matters, they say, you know what, we don't care about that. Come play for us. Come help us win. Now, Antonio Brown didn't last on the Patriots because he had some other allegations that you can't necessarily overlook. But when he actually got back into the league, guess what? Tom Brady said, hey, come play for me again. Come play for me again in Tampa Bay. Why? Because Tom Brady has a ruling class mentality, right? It is no coincidence that he went on to win the Super Bowl with a racist black man, okay? Because he doesn't care about the racism. That doesn't matter to him. What really matters to him is the talent that Antonio Brown brings to the table and how that's going to help him advance his career. That's what matters. That is a ruling class mentality. That's why he's the GOAT. Now, it is clear to me that these people right here that are organizing this walkout and have put out this list of demands for Netflix ahead of this walkout, they do not have a ruling class mentality. And I'm going to tell you why. Even though they're trying to take over Netflix, they're trying to own Netflix, right? The problem is that they don't have the clout to do that. They don't have the clout to do it. And they're actually working against their own best interest because Netflix's best interest is the bottom line. That bottom line that Netflix made, that profit, the green, the capitalism, they use that money to keep people like them employed, right? So when you go out here and you protest against Dave Chappelle and you tell Netflix to take down that content simply because you find it transphobic, then what that tells me is that you don't care about the bottom line. That tells me that you don't have a ruling class mentality because you're essentially protesting against your own best interest. Because Netflix got a bag off of Dave Chappelle, right? They made a bag. I think they paid the man like $25 million, something like that for both of his specials. So that means that they probably made at least $200 million off of Dave Chappelle, okay? The man is a walking bag, right? And that bag is what's used to employ these people. So when you advocate to get rid of him and to take down content that you feel is harmful, right? That are jokes, okay? You're not working in your own best interest. You're actually working in a way that's actually going to make it so less trans people will be hired, and you guys honestly could lose your jobs as Netflix starts losing money off this stuff if they capitulate to your demands. Now, in all fairness, this list of demands, they're not actually asking to take down the Dave Chappelle special anymore, right? They probably realize that ship is sailed, that Netflix is not going to choose them over Dave Chappelle. But with that being said, we're still going to read the list of demands. And I want you guys to think while we're reading this list of demands, what the hell does this have to do with the actual bottom line of the company? I just want you guys to think about that, okay, as we read through this. The Trans Employees Resource Group at Netflix has released a list of demands for the company ahead of Wednesday's walkout. Quote, we want the company to adopt measures in areas of content investment, employee relations, and safety and harm reduction, all of which are necessary to avoid future instances of platforming transphobia and hate speech, employees wrote in a press release, which has not been public but was supplied to The Verge. Okay, so basically what they're saying is that we want more censorship in the future. We want to have the power to veto a Dave Chappelle special. They said we're not going to take this down, but what we really want to do is we want to have power to say no to it in the future. That's what they're saying. Okay, again, they're trying to run the company in a direction that's not good for the bottom line. That's not good for them because they want to be offended by some jokes. The news comes after weeks of controversy due to Netflix executives continuing support for Dave Chappelle and his comedy special, The Closer, which many LGBTQ people and allies have criticized as transphobic. Last week, Netflix fired a leader of the trans ERG who was helping to organize the walkout. The company said his worker had leaked confidential information internally. That reasoning has been disputed. While the conversation has been married in a culture wars dispute over censorship and hate speech, none of the demands involve taking down the comedy special. Employees want Netflix to allow the trans ERG to take a bigger role in internal conversations surrounding potentially harmful content, hire trans and non-binary executives, and eliminate imagery of transphobic content in the office. All right. So we're going to actually read some of these demands here, right? Content investment. Create a new fund to specifically develop trans and non-binary talent. This fund should support both above the line and below the line talent. This fund should exist in addition to the existing Creative Equity Fund. Increase investment in trans and non-binary content on Netflix comparable to our total investment in transphobic content, including marketing and promotion. So what they mean is they want equity. That's what they're saying. They're not saying, hey, you know what? Maybe we should produce trans content that is in line with the actual population, right? In line with what people want to see, in line with the free market. No. They're saying for every bit of transphobic content you put out there, right? Content they deem as transphobic, you have to now put out content that I guess is pro-trans, I guess. I really don't know how this works, okay? So again, my point that I was making at the beginning of this video is that these people are not thinking in their own best interest. They're not acting in their own best interest. They're acting with their emotions, right? They're not thinking with their heads. Netflix is going to curate content that people want to see. And I'm not even really defending Netflix because I think they deserve this for getting on board with this wokeness. But they're going to curate content that people want to see, right? First and foremost. And that's going to align with what the interests of the viewers are. If you just start putting out a bunch of content and making a bunch of content that people don't want to see, in the name of diversity and inclusion, that's how the company loses money, right? They're going to lose money off of that. These people don't understand that. They don't grasp that concept. Invest in multiple trans creators to make both scripted and unscripted programs across genres. Revise internal processes on commissioning and releasing potential harmful sensitive content, including but not limited to involving parties who are a part of the subject community and can speak to potential harm, or consulting with third-party experts / vendors. Yeah, I mean, so essentially they want veto power. That's what it seems like. They want to be a part of the conversation about what Netflix does and what content they create that they might not necessarily like. And it's like, no, these decisions are made by executives, people who have worked in the industry, that understand this stuff, that have degrees in this stuff, that have been in this company, that have merit, right? Those decisions are made by those people. You don't get a seat at the table simply because of your identity, right? And that's the problem with a lot of these people on the left. They think they deserve a seat at the table simply because of their skin color or their gender or their sexuality. And it's like, no, you don't. That's not how business works. That's not how capitalism works. You only get a seat at the table if you've earned it through merit, okay? That's not to say that they shouldn't consult with some people about some things, right? They definitely should. But at the same time, you're not getting veto power, right? You don't automatically get a seat at the table simply because of your identity. That's what's wrong with the world. We're not a meritocracy anymore. People don't want that. Employee relations and safety. Recruit trans people, especially black, indigenous people of color, for leadership roles in the company and promote an inclusive environment for them. Again, trying to tell them, hey, you need to put people like us in your leadership positions, right? You have to have people like us running the company. Again, this is what I'm talking about. Eliminate references / imagery of transphobic titles or talent inside the workplace, including but not limited to murals, posters, room names, and swag. I guess they don't want any Dave Chappelle posters in the office, I guess. Acknowledge the harm and Netflix's responsibility for this harm from transphobic content, and in particular to the black trans community. Add a disclaimer before transphobic titles that specifically flag transphobic language, misogyny, homophobia, hate speech, etc. as required. Boost promotion for disclosure and other trans-affirming titles in the platform. Suggest trans-affirming content alongside and after content flagged as anti-trans. Again, what they're essentially asking for here is to put a trigger warning on stuff, right? To say, oh, this might be hate speech, and it's not hate speech. See, Netflix, I hope they don't capitulate to these demands. Because this is the slippery slope, right? If you start to say, well, we don't want the Dave Chappelle special taken down, but we want you to put disclaimers and trigger warnings on the Dave Chappelle special that implies that what he's saying is hate speech. Again, that opens up the door to say that comedy is hate speech, right? Now, from there, what happens is that they can go to the next step and say, well, this is hate speech, right? We need to take it down. When it's in fact not hate speech, right? It's not. It's just jokes. It's just commentary. It's just opinion. Again, I'm for equal rights. I'm for everybody having a fair opportunity, a fair shot. And that includes trans people. I want trans people to feel included, right, and safe. I do want them to feel that way, okay? However, when it comes to comedy, when it comes to opinion, when it comes to commentary, it should be fair game. It should be fair game because nobody's calling Dave Chappelle a racist for the jokes he makes about white people, about Asian people, about Hispanic people. He makes jokes about everybody. Everybody gets the smoke from Dave Chappelle, and most people just laugh it off and say, hey, that's Dave Chappelle being funny. And if, people in the trans community actually started being like, you know what, Dave Chappelle's just being funny, it would make it a lot easier for people to accept their lifestyle in our society. A lot more people will be accepting. They'll be like, okay, yeah, you just like everybody else. But what I'm not for is giving certain groups of people, I don't care if it's your race, your gender, your sex, I don't care who it is, special privileges based off their identity. I'm not for that. And again, like I said, my point in this video is that it seems to me that these people are not even acting in their own best interest, because the best interest of the trans community, right, at Netflix is for Netflix to make money. It's for them to use people like Dave Chappelle and his so-called transphobic jokes to make some money, right? Make some money off of it. And then, hey, guess what? Now you guys keep your job. Maybe you hire more people and everybody wins. Everybody wins. That's the ideal society that we should be striving for. That's what you should be striving for. And people with a rulership mentality understand that, right? They understand how to use people and things that they might not necessarily agree with, but they understand that, you know what, this is best for the bottom line, even though I don't necessarily agree with them on certain things. But no, you have people that really don't care about the bottom line. They don't care about how they're actually employed. What they really care about is their feelings being hurt, and then they want to drive the company to make decisions that isn't going to be profitable for the company, and ultimately it's not going to be good for them in the long run. So we will see what comes of this walkout. I hope it's recorded. Again, Netflix has quite the situation on their hands, and I'm enjoying every bit of this. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.